You spend years working toward a massive milestone, a promotion, a healthy relationship, a major life change. You get right to the finish line, and then, inexplicably, you destroy it all. You start unnecessary arguments with the people who actually care about you. You make impulsive, reckless decisions that you can't even explain to yourself the next morning. When the dust settles, you reach for an excuse. You tell yourself you just have terrible luck, or you lack basic discipline. Maybe you even convince yourself that you simply aren't meant to be happy. Meanwhile, you maintain an exhausting social facade. You project the image of someone who is calm, polite, and totally in control. But beneath that fragile surface, you are suffocating under the weight of dark thoughts you wouldn't dare say out loud. This self-sabotage is not an accidental glitch in your discipline. It is a deliberate process, driven by a hidden part of your mind, one that can override your conscious goals to preserve an internal status quo you don't even realize you're protecting. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung recognized this exact pattern. He realized the most dangerous enemy to your success isn't external competition or the economy. It is buried deep within your own psyche. Think back to when you were a child. You were entirely authentic. You operated on wild, unfiltered impulses, raw desire, legitimate anger, uncontainable joy. But very quickly, society began to prune those behaviors. Adults taught you that showing anger was inappropriate, and that to earn love and safety, you had to be quiet, useful, and polite. So you adapted. You removed the aggressive, messy parts of your nature and constructed a highly curated mask. Jung called this socially acceptable disguise the persona. When you bury a trait or an impulse, you do not actually delete it. That energy remains active within the psyche, simply displaced into the unconscious. Over time, extreme patience and constant kindness become psychological defenses, holding down a pressurized reservoir of trapped energy. Underneath, this energy organizes. The anger and power you refuse to admit existed merge into a cohesive entity Jung called the shadow. Your shadow is chemically addicted to the familiar. It views true growth as a lethal threat because evolving requires a brutal internal confrontation. To the shadow, safety is found in staying exactly where you are. This explains the crisis trigger. Your shadow strikes precisely when your life starts going perfectly, because massive success threatens the psychological baseline you have relied on to survive. To pull you back to the safety of stagnation, the shadow forces sudden, irrational jealousy. It triggers explosive irritation towards your partner, or makes you paralyzingly avoidant on a crucial deadline. Jung issued a precise warning. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You cannot simply delete these parts of yourself. To stop the sabotage, Jung argued that you must face this entity through a process he called shadow work. This diagram illustrates the mechanics of observation. When you feel intense hatred for an arrogant coworker, you are almost always projecting your own repressed desire for power onto them. Their behavior mirrors the exact trait you won't allow yourself to feel. Step 2 requires a shadow journal. You must write down your most unspeakable thoughts. Document your silent envy, your vanity, and your cruelty without a single ounce of self-judgment. This works through physical externalization. Dragging those dark thoughts out of silent repression and putting them on a physical page instantly strips them of their power to control your behavior. Step 3 is the dialogue. You mentally address the shadow directly. You acknowledge it as a permanent part of your mind, but you officially revoke its operational control over your decisions. Integrating the exact traits you spent your whole life rejecting converts your internal fear into undeniable clarity. Jung called this entire sequence individuation. To be completely clear, the process is deeply painful. It requires actively dismantling the comforting lies you built just to survive your childhood. It demands that you drop the victim mentality. You have to look in the mirror and finally admit that you are fully complicit in your own recurring failures. You will realize you are dual-natured. You are neither as perfectly virtuous as your social mask pretends to be, nor as inherently corrupt as your midnight anxieties suggest. The reward on the other side is true freedom. This doesn't mean careless hedonism. It means total psychological independence from the unconscious patterns that used to dictate your every move. Integrating those abandoned pieces of your identity stops the internal civil war that drives self-sabotage. Head down to the comments right now and write out the one destructive, self-sabotaging habit you are committing to bring into the light today.